What if the key to overcoming your deepest pain wasn't found in words but in images? Join me on a deeply personal journey as I share how a simple camera became my unexpected lifeline through some dark moments of my life. Have you ever felt a pain so deep that words couldn't touch it? In this video, I'll explore how I faced my struggles, not with a pen, but with a lens, and how that process changed my life forever. How? There's a link in the description. From the depths of darkness to the light of hope, witness my transformation and learn how this experience has taught me resilience, self-discovery, and personal growth. Get ready to embark on a poignant and uplifting adventure that will leave you inspired and motivated to confront your own challenges head-on. I'd hit a point where my pain was so loud it drowned out everything else. It was a constant noise in my head, a weight on my chest that made every single breath a chore, and words just weren't cutting it anymore. I tried talking about it, I tried writing it down, but the words felt hollow, incapable of capturing the sheer scale of the feeling. Imagine trying to describe the colour of the sky to someone who has never seen it. You can say it's blue, but what does that truly convey? It doesn't capture the depth, the infinite shades, or how it can hold both the sun and the moon. My pain was like that. It was a song with no music, just a punishing rhythm on a loop inside me, and the inability to explain it, to make someone else understand, that was its own unique agony. I was at a breaking point, completely lost in the noise. Have you ever been so full of an emotion you thought you would burst, but you couldn't let any of it out? That was my life, every day. It was like living in a cage nobody else could see. From the outside, I'm sure I looked fine. I was going to work, making small talk and smiling when appropriate, but inside, I was suffocating. The frustration was immense. I kept trying to explain how I felt, but it was like trying to unlock a door with the wrong key. Why couldn't I find the right words? Why couldn't I make them understand the static consuming my mind? Every failed attempt to get it out left me feeling more isolated. My friends and family meant well, but they were offering solutions for problems I couldn't even name. They'd say, just try to be more positive, or maybe you need more sleep. I know they were trying to help, but it felt like being offered a band-aid for an internal hemorrhage. The chasm between what I was feeling and what I could say grew wider and wider. I felt profoundly alone, not because no one was there, but because I was trapped in a language only my body spoke. The clenched jaw, the tight chest, the stomach in knots. The world started to feel grey. Joy felt like a distant memory from a movie I'd seen long ago. Everything was muted. I was just stuck. Stuck in the quiet, stuck in the static, stuck in a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. I knew something had to give. I couldn't continue living like a ghost in my own life, but the one tool everyone recommends, my voice, had completely failed me. And then I picked up a camera. It wasn't a dramatic movie-like moment. It was an act of quiet desperation. I had an old DSLR camera sitting on a shelf gathering dust. I had no real skills. I wasn't trying to become a photographer, but on one particularly bad day in 2020, when the pressure inside felt unbearable, my eyes landed on it. It felt like being lost in a forest where every tree looks the same and then suddenly stumbling upon a compass. A strange thought surfaced. What if I could show it? If I couldn't say it, maybe I could see it. Maybe I could find this shapeless, nameless thing in the world and capture it. It sounds ridiculous, I know. How do you take a picture of a feeling? But I had nothing left to lose. I grabbed the camera not to create art, but like a scientist attempting one last wild experiment. I had no idea what I was looking for. I just knew I had to look. I walked out the door with no plan, only a singular, strange mission: find what my pain looked like. On those first few walks, I just wandered with my finger on the shutter. I wasn't looking for anything beautiful. I was looking for a feeling. It was as if I was scanning the outside world for something that matched the feeling deep in my chest. I began to notice things I had never paid attention to before. A deep crack splintering across the pavement, a single dead leaf clinging to a branch in the middle of spring, the chaos of tangled wires against a flat grey sky, and I took a picture. Click. The forgotten rusty tricycle in a front yard. Click. The distorted reflection of my face in a dirty puddle. Click. A barbed wire fence choking a tree. Click. Every photo was a gut reaction. It wasn't about perfect lighting or the right angle. It was about seeing something and simply recognizing it. When I saw something that felt like the knot in my stomach, I took its picture. The act itself was a game changer. To find and frame these things, I had to be completely present. My mind, usually a storm of anxious thoughts, suddenly had a focus. The storm was still there, but the camera gave all that chaotic energy a single point to land on. I had to notice the texture of peeling paint, the way light failed to penetrate a tangle of thorns, the loneliness of a single plastic bag caught in the wind. Without even trying, this became a form of mindfulness. For minutes at a time, I wasn't thinking about my pain. I was outside of myself, observing it. I was giving it a place to exist outside my own body. This was never about making pretty pictures. Most of them were technically bad, but that didn't matter. The value wasn't in the photograph, it was in the act of seeing. It was in slowing down and looking at the world with purpose. For the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't just numbly getting through the day. I was awake. I was truly seeing what was around me, and in doing so, I was starting to see myself. Back home, I put the photos on my computer, not knowing what to expect. But as I clicked through them, one by one, something incredible happened. There it was, my pain, not as a terrifying, shapeless entity inside me, but as a collection of images on a screen. That crack in the pavement, that was the feeling of being broken. The tangled wires that were the chaos in my head. The dead leaf was my hopelessness. Seeing these enormous feelings contained within the four corners of a photograph. It was like pouring an ocean of pain into 100 small bottles. It gave the feeling a shape, a boundary. It proved that it was real, but it also proved that it wasn't infinite. It could be contained. It gave me a visual language for everything I couldn't say. Looking at those photos was like finally having a conversation with a part of myself that had been silent for too long. I could finally point to something and say, this is what it feels like. It was a massive release. The photos became evidence not just of my pain, but that I was a person in pain. I wasn't the pain itself. The camera created a tiny, crucial distance, like the space between a painter and their canvas. And in that little bit of space, I could finally breathe. As I studied them, I began to notice patterns. I realized how many pictures I had taken of things that were trapped, broken, or forgotten. It was like an unconscious map of my inner world. So this wasn't just about validating the pain. It was about self-discovery. The camera was showing me my own hidden feelings, and for the first time, I wasn't afraid to look. It's amazing how a simple shift in perspective can change everything. This process became a lifeline for me, and it makes me curious. Have any of you ever found healing in an unexpected place? Add your comments below. For me, it was through a camera's lens. It taught me that sometimes the way out of the darkness is to look at it, really look at it, until you can see the light seeping through the cracks. I found a way to translate my inner world into something tangible. This journey taught me that sometimes the most profound conversations we have are not with others, but with ourselves through the art we create. That healing isn't always about finding the right words. Sometimes it's about finding a new way to see. It's about giving your pain a voice, even if that voice is a silent image. It's about realizing that even in the darkest of places, there is light to be found, and you have the power to capture it. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you're struggling, I encourage you to find your own camera, your own canvas, your own way of seeing. Your story is waiting to be told. What will you discover? I've put together a PDF resource covering photography for mental health. It's free until the end of January 26. Link in the description. I hope it helps.